Hi, we recently engaged Patrick Fitzgerald to conduct an analysis comparing the capital investments that fossil fuel companies are making to reduce carbon emissions. And he's here today to explain what we learned. Hello, Patrick.
Hey,
Hey, so Patrick, please explain how you framed your analysis.
absolutely. So, what I did was I looked at the top fossil fuel companies Exxon, Chevron, BP, Shell, and finally Occidental Petroleum. And I researched the technologies that each are investing in and that may reduce or eliminate carbon emissions to achieve their goals of net zero by 2050.
Okay, and how do you define net zero?
Well, the term net zero is actually very loosely defined, but it generally refers to reducing carbon emissions. But what it means is removing the same amount or more carbon from the atmosphere than a company adds to the atmosphere. That is net zero.
Okay, so not just avoiding emissions, but really taking carbon emissions out of the atmosphere. Okay, and what forms of technologies are these companies investing in?
A bunch of technologies. This includes wind and solar. A lot of people are familiar with that. Hydrogen fuel, biodiesel, low carbon natural gas, and direct air capture and storage.
Great. And tell us what you learned.
Yeah, so most of the companies are making capital investments in all of these technologies at the same time. And they each will invest more heavily in one or the other technology to make a strategic tilt um, in positioning their business in the future. For example, Shell and BP invest more in renewable energy generation like wind and solar, and Chevron and Exxon on renewable diesel like biofuels as a replacement for gasoline, their primary product. The exception is Occidental Petroleum. Oxy, is what they're called, isn't investing in every technology. They're targeted on direct air capture for either storage or for use as recycling carbon in low carbon natural gas. Oxy's investment has more conviction, in my opinion.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So all these competitors are taking kind of a portfolio approach to their capital expenditures in this area, but Oxy is going deep. Okay, and I should mention we own Occidental Petroleum in our model portfolio.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that most of these don't actually achieve net zero. Solar and wind generation create electricity without creating carbon emissions, but they don't actually remove carbon from the atmosphere. Renewable diesel actually add emissions at a lower rate, but just not as much as gasoline. The only technology that I looked at that removes carbon in the net zero equation is actually direct air capture, and that is the technology that Oxy is trying to develop.
Oh, excellent, Patrick. Great. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate your work.
Absolutely.